Hey everyone, welcome to episode 7 of this AI learning series. My name is Caleb Cole. I'm a software engineer here at Microsoft, and I'm an alumni of West Virginia University Institute of Technology.
Hey everyone, my name is Kurt Emmerich. I'm also a software engineer here at Microsoft, and I'm an alumni of Vanderbilt University down in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, we got a lot of content to cover today. We're going to go over skills, we're going over agent personas, and we're going to talk about plugins and marketplaces. So let's get started.
Yeah.
First, we're going to take a look back at the website. In a previous episode, one of the things they added was a blog, as we can see down here. We've got this blog that Jimmy wants to make posts to. The issue with the blog at the current moment, there's nothing on it. We want to add some things to this blog, and we were thinking that the process to adding this might be a good idea for an agent skill or some type of workflow that we can teach an agent so that we don't have to be as manual every time. So we're going to talk about the steps to posting a blog and how that might fit into these skills as we explain what exactly makes up an agent skill. So that I'm going to pass it back to Caleb to talk about that process.
Yeah. So as Kurt had said, a skill is just a sequence of steps into a workflow. And that is all combined into a markdown file called a skill.md file. And that can have some other folders attached as well. But all of that is bundled into a central folder itself. And so this is just a folder that's living on my computer. I can easily share that folder with any of my friends. I just send it to them over text, and now they have access to this workflow that I had created, and they can use it for their own purposes, like creating their own blogs. Another concept is an agent persona. In this case, we're going to be talking about the rubber duck agent, which is something inbuilt in Copilot, which gives the agent a persona. And then this is all packaged into things called plugins, which has a lot of things in there. And then you can access plugins from a marketplace. And so in that minute, we just explained a lot of terms. And so we're now going to transition into actually implementing some of these things so that we can learn everything that we had just talked about, in that 1 minute.
Yeah, let's put this into practice. So first, let's manually take care of this workflow for making this blog post. Now, Jamie, as we saw on their website and their portfolio, recently did a podcast, and they took some notes from this podcast. We might want to make a blog post about this to talk about something that Jamie's been up to. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take these notes and we're going to tell the agent, first off, to write a clear and conversational post using Jamie's voice that's established in their notes from Jamie's perspective to post onto a blog. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to copy the whole prompt and the notes into Copilot. And we're going to let it spin.
Yeah.
And as Copilot takes care of this task, we're going to go through a series of steps to improve the notes, improve the post, and make sure that it sounds like Jamie, a little bit less agenty, AI, and more like a human. And we're going to also take advantage of that rubber duck critique agent that Caleb mentioned earlier to really make sure that we have no missing lapses in judgment and no obvious mistakes that can sometimes happen when you're working with models.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the draft in Jamie's voice saved in a blog draft, and it's open it up right here that we can read through. We don't need to read every point, but we clearly have it in more of a storytelling voice, more of a, what was I up to? This is a good blog post. Now, we're going to use our next prompt to get a second opinion on it. So this is where we get that rubber duck agent.
Because typically, whenever you get some output from an AI, it's not going to be the best on the first draft. And so this is a technique that we're using to get a secondary opinion. Typically after you create something, you want to review it, get some other opinions on it. And so this is a process inbuilt within Copilot that gets that other perspective.
Yeah, as we see here, one of the weirdnesses with agents, the rubber duck model failed the first time. Some model that they tried to use ran into capacity issues. Yeah. It happens. But like he was mentioning earlier, the agent persona is kind of like a mindset for these agents. A skill is that workflow. You have checkboxes, step 1, 2, 3, 4. A persona is more like kind of a set of instructions detailing the role that this agent plays in the conversation.
Yeah.
The rubber duck agent, what that role is very low trust, right? Don't assume anything. Don't assume that the user and the operator is the source of truth.
Yep.
It's going to try to read your reasoning back to you to try to poke any holes in it. It comes from an old programming idea of if you're trying to figure out a bug, you want to explain your code to a rubber duck because a rubber duck doesn't know anything about coding.
Yeah.
So as you explain your code and your reasoning to that duck, you're going to realize yourself what's wrong with it. And so that is the role that this plays.
Yeah. And so if you want to scroll up
Here.
You can actually click into the rubber duck itself, If you click on that, you can see it's thinking. So if you scroll up in that as well, you can see what the AI had just sent to this other perspective, this other rubber duck, saying you're reviewing this blog draft for publication, and then it gave it the task.
Yeah, so super, super useful as a first pass whenever you're making any plan or making any edits to use that rubber duck to fix up anything that's super easy to miss.
Yeah. And so it came back with some suggestions, and
those suggestions look pretty good.
Yeah.
So some easy stuff. There was just some things that sound a little weird, some formatting issues. So we're just going to have it accept all of the rubber duck suggestions and open this as a mark.
Yeah. Again, not our blog post, so just going to approve the suggestions, assume.
Hopefully Jamie will be pleased with the results.
Yeah. So it had just edited the blog post, and then it's trying to show it to us. It might not be able to. Okay. So, but if you click into the blog post itself, which exists there, it had removed some things, added some changes.
Yeah, it's going to have applied the edits here to this draft file.
Yeah.
It struggled to upload it in the Canvas. The Canvas is kind of a new feature in the CLI app, but it's super, super handy, as you can see, when it's working. So next, we're going to turn this into a blog post for the actual website, right? We're just going to make one last pass, make sure it's in first person, and make sure it's in the right format that the website expects for this section. So do one more just to prepare it before we push it up to the actual website.
Yep. And so some things, we decided it looks good. We're going to turn this into a blog post for the website. We want to store it into a markdown file. And then, we've already stored it into a markdown file, sorry. And then we're making an HTML file for it to be on the website.
All right, so the agent has finished, and what it's done for us here is it's actually opened in a private browser, in a locally hosted web server, the changes so that we can view them visually before we commit them to the repository. So we're gonna take a look here. We can see that the blog page is now not empty. We now have a little blurb about it's a blog, what does Jamie write about, and we have our first post. So let's take a look, and it's that same markdown file with all the edits, now in HTML so that it renders correctly on the website. So this is perfect. It looks good to me. Let's actually post it to the repository. So we're going to take our last prompt for this section, and we're going to tell it, hey, please publish this post, commit the changes.
Yeah, and push to the GitHub.
And push to the GitHub. So we've gone through this workflow now, and we have done a certain number of steps that are pretty well bounded, right? We're going to take some notes. We're going to turn them into a blog-ish looking format. We got to turn them into HTML once we've critiqued them, and then we publish them to GitHub. It's a pretty good structure for a skill. It's something that an agent could follow these steps to a T. So the next thing we're going to look at is how do we actually create a skill out of this defined workflow that we've just done manually so that we don't have to do this step again, and the agent can just take care of it from the first prompt.
Yep.
So I'll pass it back to Caleb.
Okay.
Take a look.
Awesome. Okay, so you can see that we had just committed this to the repository. And so this will be available on the actual website. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, hey, we just went through all of these steps. And now what I want to do is I want to create a skill called create blog. And then I wanted to, make sure that we're on the same page, resolve any ambiguities in order to make this something that can be a repeatable workflow. So I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to enter that.
Yeah. And the skill's going to read through this. It also has the context of what we just did. It's going to make those connections. And it's probably going to ask a few qualifying questions of, hey, what is the source for this? Or should there be specific, yes, no approval gates and things like that as it remembers what the steps that we did manually and the bullet points that we just gave it in this prompt.
Yep, exactly. And so, okay, it's creating a skill now. It's going to put it into this project.
In this case, it actually didn't need any extra clarification.
Yeah.
We were clear enough with our prompting this time. That's why prompting is important. Always remember.
Okay, awesome. You can see that it just made the skill, and it made this skill.md file. Unfortunately, it didn't open it up for us, but I'm going to showcase it so that we can view that this is really just a markdown file, a file that's on our system in this folder, and it has the name of it, and then it showcases use this skill, and it's going to define the workflow that we just created. Draft from notes, run a rubber duck. Everything that we just did is now in this file. And so I'm going to now use this skill and showcase how it can be used in an agent or AI that has no context of what we just did to showcase the repeatability of it. So in order to do this, I'm going to do this in the same exact session, and I'm going to introduce a way to just get rid of everything that we just did.
Just flush the system.
Yeah, I'm going to do a slash. I'm going to type in clear, and this is going to start a fresh session. And so now, no information about what just happened. I'm now going to go and I'm going to say, use the create blog skill to create a post from Jamie's recycling dashboard notes. And so these are just notes that, again, Jamie had made in a separate Word document. I'm going to copy those. I'm going to paste them here. I'm going to copy this prompt, and then I'm going to paste it here. So I said, use the skill to create a post from Jamie's recycling dashboard notes. I'm giving nothing else besides the nodes. And so you can see that the agent here loaded in the skill, create blog, and now it's knowing to draft the post from these nodes.
Yeah. And skills are pretty cool as well in that, especially with newer models, when you reference in your prompt a idea that has to do with the skill, it'll pick them up. So you don't always have to say, run the create blog skill. If you say, I want to upload a new blog post, it's going to look for skills and tools that know how to do that. So that doesn't have to figure out the workflow itself. And it will find the create blog skill, it will read that file, and it will invoke it. So you don't even have to usually directly invoke a skill, which is what part of makes them so useful. You don't always need to know every skill that exists for them to be useful to you when they are present in your session.
Yep, exactly. And so we can see right now, it's trying to draft the post. It created a brand new post for the recycling dashboard. And then it's running a rubber duck. And again, the same exact process. You were reviewing a draft portfolio post. And it's going to be about the recycling dashboard now. And so now we can see the rubber duck is giving a different opinion, a different perspective on this to critique it, similar, to how you make a blog post. You write it, then critique it. It's giving it suggestions. And then we were given these suggestions, and, I'll just say, apply all to take, these 5 suggestions for this blog post and then rewrite the blog post. Okay, so now it's asking me if I explicitly approve integrating this. I'm going to look back. I see this recycling dashboard project. I'm going to say, yeah, integrate it. Nice. Put it into the website. Now it's going to make it into HTML, and it's going to publish it to the website.
Yeah, and now everyone is pretty immediately going to be able to see these new posts.
Yep.
Just immediate feedback for anyone viewing the portfolio, for whether applying to businesses or just giving out, the projects you've been working on. It's going to be up to date.
Yep. So there we go, generating the blog. Okay, now it just asked me, to approve the publishing. I'm going to verify this, and I'm just going to find where it previously was in this blog post. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to go back to the blog, and you can see what I learned from my campus recycling dashboard project, and everything that we just saw in that file is now on the website.
And this is on the local preview, right? This is, So this is, again, it posted that to the same server it started earlier so that we can review it before it posted to the official website.
Yep, yeah. So everything's just on our computer right now. And now I'm going to say, push it to GitHub. Push it to the GitHub page that everyone can access. Okay, so we just saw Copilot turn our draft notes for the blog into a blog post and then put it onto our website. So now it's live for anyone to see. And so we were able to identify a workflow, a sequence of steps to be able to create a blog post and then convert that into an agent skill so that I can tell this new agent without having any context of how I made that previous blog post, how to make the next one. And so now what I'm going to do is transition from creating this skill, the skill that we just made, to showcasing how you can install skills and agent personas and other stuff that other people have made through what is a marketplace, a plugin marketplace. So I am going to go to the GitHub repository that's hosting this series for all the episodes, and this is a marketplace. The way that we can tell is that it has this marketplace file in the repository. So I'm going to take the URL of this marketplace or of this repository, and I'm going to go to the settings and add this to our Copilot. So I'm going to go to the settings. I am now going to plugins, and I'm going to add a marketplace. I'm going to paste this GitHub repository in, and now you can see that we've just added the marketplace to our Copilot. And inside of this marketplace, we have a skill that we have created to help people, who have a personal portfolio website, to update the website based off of updates to their resume. And so I'm going to install this skill that's in this plugin that we have installed from a marketplace. We can see we've installed it now, and it appears in our list of skills that you can access from this skills tab here. You can see it is a plugin. There's also other ones that come, built in with Copilot, but we have that one now.
And that was a great view as well to look at how there's project level as well as global skills. So it's built-in skills that are coming with Copilot, right? Like create canvas, agent merge, orchestrate, are things that will work throughout any repo, any project that you might be working in. And then that plugin skill as well is going to work on any repo. It's a plugin skill, right? So you have skills that exist at your repo level, which will live in that .github folder in your repo, and you also have skills that will exist at your computer, your global level, that where no matter what session you're in, no matter what repo you're in, they will get invoked when the agent thinks that it should call those tools.
Yeah.
So super handy to have both levels for different situations, repo specific versus just skills that are useful for any kind of work with an agent.
Yeah. So this plugin is installed globally, so everywhere, and then the one skill that we had created for creating blog posts was just for this repository.
So let's use this new skill.
Yes. So I'm going to go to a new session, and I am going to show another way to call or invoke or use a skill, and that's through running a slash, and I'm going to do resume site sync. I don't have to type it all. I'm just gonna press tab. And so on the left here, we have the resume that was used to create this website, which is Jamie in their junior year. And then on the right, we have the resume, Jamie in their senior year. After they had another internship, they had some more episodes on their podcast, and they've increased their skills. And so I'm going to take this current resume. I'm going to go to Copilot using the skill, and I'm going to take the updated senior year resume, go back to Copilot, give it both of them, and then press enter. That's all I have to input, the current resume or the one that the website is using, and then an updated one.
Yeah, and this is a super handy skill that I think every student can kind of understand. You find every year you gain new relevant classes, new skills, new internships, and having to remember to keep your resume current and not 4 years out of date is something I think plenty of us have struggled with when applying to internships.
Yeah.
So definitely wish I had this tool when I was in college.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like now it has noticed all the differences between these two resumes. It's noticed the grade difference, it has noticed the experience difference, and all the skills.
The podcast, yeah.
Podcast, right? So all the stuff that we want to make sure is current on the resume, it's noticed, and it's going to suggest upload the new resume, make the changes, and replace the one that's currently on the website.
Yep. And so now I agree with everything that I just said. And I'm going to say approve all. So now it's going to take all those changes I just saw, and it's going to update the website accordingly so that now it's updated to the new resume. Okay, so Copilot had just made those changes to the website. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to the website. And now I'm going to refresh. I'm going to get out of this blog post, and I'm going to see now it is senior year. that Jamie is a senior. And what were the other things that were updated? Yeah, the podcast. So new things for the podcast.
All current, resumes current, all the new
Yep.
information has been updated. So
Yeah.
now Jamie's not lagging behind on the
Yeah.
portfolio anymore.
Yeah, awesome. So that was an example of a skill that we had downloaded from, that someone else wanted to share. In this case, it was us.
Yeah.
But it was a skill that was in a plugin that was loaded from a marketplace. That we accessed here just to showcase again.
Yeah.
It was in this marketplace.
Yeah, and you can find marketplaces all over the internet. Thousands of developers have made thousands of skills for thousands of situations, and it's always useful to just look through them and see if any suit any of your needs.
Yep.
And if any don't, make your own. You can see it's not too difficult, and it's a great way to learn how to teach an agent how to do certain tasks.
Yeah.
Right. So we covered a lot today. We've gone over skills, we've gone over agent personas, how you can give an agent an almost sort of mindset for how it approaches a conversation. And we've talked about marketplaces where you can share as well as download skills and agents and references built by other developers from across the world.
Yep.
In the next episode, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about even more AI tools and opportunities to leverage AI even further and even better in your developer experience. And as always, if you want to access any of the resources used in today's video, please check it down in the description. Thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.